There's a feeling that a lot of people are walking around with right now and they can't explain it. Their life looks fine, but something feels off. They feel disconnected, they feel restless, numb, unfulfilled. And most people try to escape those feelings. They scroll, drink, overeat, stay busy, watch Netflix, spend time around people they've already outgrown. But what if that dissatisfaction is actually your future self trying to wake you up? Because in this episode, I'm going to show you why your discomfort may actually be the clearest sign yet that your life is asking you to change. And by the end of this episode, I'm going to walk you through one decision-making exercise that can completely change the direction of your future if you actually do it. So if your life has felt off lately, stay with me because this episode may explain why. So what if your discomfort is not actually the problem? What if it's the invitation? I think one of the biggest mistakes that people make is trying to get rid of the feeling that their life feels off. Because the truth is that feeling is information, it's feedback. And usually what it's pointing to is that you know there's a decision you need to make. You already know. You know that you want to stop drinking too much. You know that friendship no longer aligns. You know you don't want to waste hours scrolling your phone anymore. You know your body deserves better. You know you want to be stronger, more disciplined, more connected to God, more intentional. You already know. But instead of making the decision, we sit in confusion. And confusion is created from thoughts like, maybe, I don't know if I want to, maybe next week, what if I fail? What if people judge me? What will they think? What would I do? And meanwhile, your soul starts to feel heavier because deep down, you know that you're not living in alignment with who you are called to be or the life that you're meant to be living. So one pushback that I hear all the time is, okay, Jaycee, but I don't really know what it is that I want, okay? And if that's you, I want you to start with, what is it that you don't want? Because what you don't want usually reveals what it is that you do want. So you don't want to wake up hungover anymore. Okay. Then maybe you want to wake up more energized, more productive in the mornings, more intentional about your weekends. Or you don't want to spend your evenings numbing out on the couch. Okay. Well, then what is it that you do want to do in the evenings that would make your life feel meaningful? That would make you feel proud with how you spent your time. You don't want surface level friendships anymore, okay? Maybe you want deeper connection. You want to spend your time with growth-minded people. You're looking for relationships that build you up or people who challenge you or your way of thinking. You don't want to feel weak in your body anymore. Then maybe what you want is strength. You want to be able to run a race, compete in a competition. Whatever it is that you're feeling dissatisfied with is going to point you somewhere. That's why your dissatisfaction is actually a gift, because it's calling you to a higher level. It's evidence that the current life that you're living in and the current way that you're operating in, and I'm talking about your thoughts and your feelings, your state of being, and your actions, they don't actually align with who you've been called to be. This makes me think about Moses, and I'm talking about biblical Moses, of course, because Moses spent years uncomfortable with the life he was living before he finally responded to the calling on his life. There was his burning bush moment, the interruption, a moment where God basically said, you were made for more than this. And remember, Moses didn't have a bad life. He was in the palace. And Moses did what we all do. He resisted. He said, I'm not capable, I'm not ready, and somebody else should do it. But the discomfort was the invitation. And I think what you're doing and what a lot of us are doing is waiting for the peace to come before we make the decision. We tell ourselves, oh, well, when this is sorted out in my life, or maybe in the future, or maybe when I move away, then I'll be able to operate from this identity. Then I'll be able to step into this version of myself. And all that is just fear with a mask on. Peace comes after obedience to the calling. And I love what the Bible says in Jeremiah 29:11, for I know the plans that I have for you, plans to prosper you, to not harm you, but to give you a hope and future. And as lovely as that verse sounds, we may hear it and think that it's lovely, but we don't actually move. We want the future without being or becoming the person who can hold that future. And here is the trap, my friend. Your lower brain does not want change. Your wiring is your biggest opposition. Your brain wants what's familiar, predictable, easy and what's comfortable. Even if your current life is making you miserable, your brain would rather stay in this misery because it knows what to expect. It's not wired for transformation. Researchers at Harvard University found that nearly 40% of the time, people's minds are wandering instead of fully engaged in what they're doing. And what the study found is that wandering minds are associated with unhappiness. This is really important information because most people think that happiness comes from consuming more, when often dissatisfaction comes from disconnection from purpose, disconnection from growing, from meaning, from becoming. And when we ignore the discomfort, the wandering of our mind, or the buffering in our life, when we don't pay attention to why we're doing so much of that. I'm talking about the food, the alcohol, the scrolling, the Netflix, the busyness. We miss out on the calling for our own life. And because nobody ever taught you how to move through discomfort, aka feel negative emotions, we can often get stuck in this trap of comfort sinking instead of going after and making decisions on becoming the future version of ourselves. Okay, so here's the real question. What decision do you know that you already need to make? Not next month, not next year, not next week. The decision you need to make right now, because every powerful transformation starts with a decision. And I actually encourage you to write this down. I've decided that I am someone who, and then fill in the blank. I've decided that I'm somebody who takes care of their body. I've decided I'm somebody who surrounds himself with growth-minded people. I've decided that I'm somebody who's always feeling connection towards their spouse. I've decided that my priority is my family. For me, it sounds like this. I've decided that I have enough time. That one's very powerful for me, because the story that I've had for many years is I just don't have enough time. Whenever I think about going after the things that I want, this limiting belief about I have no time or I don't have enough time comes up. So my decision is I've decided that I have enough time. I've decided there is enough time for this. I've decided that I'm somebody who makes time for this. There's so much power in that sentence. Identity starts with a decision first. And so after you make that decision, all of the actions, they come next. But identity comes first. Don't forget that. I think about somebody who feels maybe a 60% satisfaction in their life. From the outside, things look okay, but internally, they know that they're settling. And maybe for them, the decision is simple. On the weekends, I no longer drink alcohol. They join a gym. Because they're feeling so energized, they start reading again. They start to spend time with people who challenge them. And suddenly, their whole life trajectory changes. Not because the decision was huge, but because that first decision represented that alignment. And that alignment, it creates the momentum. So oftentimes one small decision changes all of your decisions because you're starting to develop that identity of that person who can maintain that result. So if your life feels off right now, don't panic. Pay attention. The discomfort is not proof that there's something wrong with you. It's proof that you are no longer meant to stay exactly where you are. And the beautiful thing is that you don't need to know every step. You just need the courage to make the next decision. I hope that you enjoyed this episode. This is the exact work that we do inside of my Disciplined Mind Accelerator. We work on identity, emotional resilience, self-trust, follow-through, and learning how to stop buffering your life away. Because when you remove the buffering, you have what's very true about your life. And oftentimes there's a dissatisfaction there. There's a calling there to start going after the life that you are meant to live. So my hope and prayer is that you pay attention and you follow that calling inside of your heart and you make some brave decisions. I will see you on next week's episode. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to check out these 2 videos next. If you haven't yet, hit like or comment something. I love reading your comments. Don't forget to hit subscribe, and I will see you next week.